Kyra, as you said, that for a lot of people, there could be a grief. And some people might think it's cold feet, but it is just a reality is that you understand it'll never be the same again. And you're allowed to grieve that. I experienced that as well. I was very confident that I wanted to marry Bryan. And the day before our wedding, I just was like, oh my gosh, my whole life is changing. And my bridesmaids were so worried about me. And I could not find language for what I was feeling. I was like, it'll never just be my mom and dad and my sisters and I again. And I want to get married and I loved my life.
Yeah.
And then I woke up the next morning and I was like, okay, here we go. Like Friday was my day to say goodbye to the old. And then Saturday I was like, here we go. Like onward and with no regret, no looking back, you know?
Welcome to the Union Movement Podcast. The Union Movement exists to help people find wholeness in sexuality, identity, and relationships with a gospel-centered and holistic approach. We hope and pray that this podcast episode is enriching in your life and helps you to see the beauty of God's design for all of these areas. Please enjoy today's episode.
Hey, what's up? Welcome to the Union Podcast. My name is Brian Pugh, and that's my wife, Bonnie, and we lead the Union Movement. And if you're like a first-time listener, or this is your first time at the Union Podcast, we just want to welcome you here. The Union exists to be a gospel-centered ministry focused on sexuality and finding wholeness and identity and relationships, all those really important conversations, all from just like a Jesus-centered perspective, Jesus-focused. So we're so glad that you're here. We've got a great conversation set up today. Bonnie, what's going on? How are you doing?
I'm doing really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel good. I'm like, as a mom, I immediately go to like our family and I'm thinking, we've got some kids at camp right now and the weather turned out nice for them today. So I was glad for them for that.
Totally.
And school's coming to a close. So feeling happy about that too.
Yeah. I know this is like one of the things you're not supposed to do in the podcast pre-recording world, but this last weekend we would have been at the Apologetics Canada Western Youth Summit, which I think is worth breaking rules over.
Oh, sure.
Unspoken rules of podcasting. It was such a great experience. And we're so grateful for everybody at Apologetics Canada. We got to do a session on the Riz biz.
Yes.
Which I've heard on good authority that the word Riz is dying.
Yes. For those who didn't even know it was a thing, because there was actually some adults at the event who were like, what is Riz?
Yeah.
And
you're too late, friend. It's already on the way out.
It's already on its way out. Don't
even
use it. But it's short for charisma, but more specifically in the area of relating guys and girls, kind of like impressing one another. Someone who is probably about maybe 20 years younger, 15 years younger than me said it's like the newer version of like, he's got game. It would be like, he's got Riz.
He's a playa. But not
jumping
around though.
No.
Yeah. It's a little bit different.
So the new one that we heard from some of the ones who were maybe 20 years younger than us, they said maybe aura is on the way up. If you hear the phrase like aura farming, it's like you're impressing people with your Riz and your game.
Totally.
So we talked about the Riz biz at this event. The room was packed both times. We did the breakout session. A lot of good engagement. I feel like people they don't just want to hear our voice on this. I think they just want to hear content on this. And that's why I'm actually really excited for this episode.
Because that's what this episode is about.
We're not calling it, maybe we'll call it aura farming. I don't know. But
maybe throw it on social media and they can figure out what they want to call it.
Yeah, totally.
It might be fun. But we are really excited because we actually have one of our special, I don't know if special is the word, but like, anyways.
Not that she's not special.
She is special, but she's one of our team members here at the Union. We have Kyra Hauff. She's going to be joining us and she's actually going to be throwing some questions at us all about relationships and how to approach them in a godly way, in an honorable way to the Lord and to this person that you're pursuing a relationship with. So everybody welcome Kyra Hauff to the Union Podcast. What's going on, Kyra?
The crowd goes wild.
Hi, friends. I'm doing so good. I am a little nervous for a first time doing a podcast, I think.
Oh, you're so good.
No, I think I did one other one with you guys.
You did?
I'm excited to get to talk about this.
Oh, we're so glad you're here. Glad you're
absolutely. Here. Kyra has been, she interned with us a year and a half ago, I guess. Our first group of interns. She interned with us, and then last September came on staff part-time, working with us. And we've been really glad to have you as a part of our team. And you see the behind the scenes, and we're so grateful for your heart and for your skills. And yeah, so maybe can you share with us a little bit about, or share with the audience, the listeners, what your experience was like interning and what type of things you're involved with, and why you stuck around with the work that we do.
Yeah. Oh, I'd love to. I am so grateful for you guys and for the union movement. Yeah. I mean, I got started with the internship because I've always had a heart for what you guys do. I've always loved what you do. It's something that's pretty close to home, an important part of my testimony. And then the internship was so amazing. I learned so much just about ministry, which is where I'm headed. So many practical skills. I got to help learn how to write a newsletter and do formatting and deal with so many different websites and platforms that you don't think about using until you have to.
Totally.
And just so many great communication skills, how to have hard conversations, which is something that I get to do. Yeah, I get to do all the time now, which is cool. It's fun. It's hard, obviously, but it's good skills to have. And then, yeah, I mean, the internship ended and I was not ready to be done. I was like, I really, really hope that they ask me to stick around because I'm ready to say yes if they do. And lo and behold, they offered me a job, and it was right when I was quitting the job I was currently at. And now we're here and it's great. I love it.
Yeah, we're so grateful for you. And one thing that was really cool to see your growth, and we'll just kind of throw this out there for everybody, but anyone who was at the Called conference this last year, or it's just over a month ago, or maybe 2. This is going to be out in July. So I'm just breaking rules all over the place, just dating, throwing dates out there. Yeah. This is not going to be timeless, I guess. But way back in April, we had the Called conference, and you stepped up and led worship. And I think you knocked it out of the park, did such a great job. And so we really appreciate you and your heart for the Lord, your heart for this topic. And just see you using your gifts to glorify the Lord. So we're grateful to have you here. And I think we're excited. You've done some journalistic work. You've gone and dug up some questions that inquiring minds are wanting to know. And so we're excited to get in and get after this. So we'll throw it over to you. Fire away with these questions on relationships.
Amazing. Yeah, like you were saying, these are not just my questions. Some of them are definitely, but I went out to a bunch of my friends, mostly young adults, and I scrolled through Instagram, which was such hard work, and checked a bunch of comment sections to find questions that the people are asking about singleness, about dating, about marriage, which I got to my 20s and I didn't realize how big of a conversation it would be. It's like every time I met young adults or I'm meeting a new person, that's like one of the first questions you get asked. Are you dating anyone? Are you single? What's it about? So obviously it's something that we're all thinking about.
Totally.
Now, the first question we're going to start with singleness, and it's kind of the big question. We're going to start big right out of the gate. But how do you recommend balancing a desire for marriage while still surrendering to God's will? Because that's where so many of my friends are at. They want marriage. They want a family. It's something that they truly, deeply desire. But they still want to walk out in God's will and not force anything. So what would your take on that be? Oh,
wow. It is a tension. It's a tension of, I would say, trusting the Lord. And yeah.
Totally.
I think one of the unique challenges that maybe your generation is facing is a growing apprehension of purposely pursuing relationships, which can make it very difficult because, number one, I think if we were to throw it at, look at it this way, for young ladies to maybe allow a guy to pursue them in an appropriate way, which we could probably get into at some point. It means that you're not pursuing, in the sense of you're not going out of your way to necessarily take initiative, which can be really intimidating and scary for young ladies. And then and I think the fear there too is if that they do pursue, then they're going to seem super clingy and super extra. and desperate. And then they're going to be like dealing with a bunch of fear around, am I too much? That kind of thing. And then, guys have just kind of settled back into this, I think generally, guys are settling back into this fear of rejection. And so they don't want to take the risk, and they don't want to put themselves out there. And so I think it's a very unique challenge that your generation is facing for sure.
Yeah. I actually just saw a part of an interview. I think it was from maybe 8 or 9 years ago, but it had shelf life. It's held. And this guy was talking about how, girls are afraid, like girls don't want to initiate because they're like, I think that's more of the man's role, which I love that. I was actually talking to someone on the weekend about, he was asking, should a guy be initiating? Should a girl be initiating? And I said, well, if we look in scripture, we see that Christ, that the groom is actually a shadow of Christ, and the church is a shadow of the bride, or the bride is a shadow of the church. I can't remember where I said that, maybe mixed up. But either way, it's like Christ was the one who actually initiated and proposed and said, I will sacrifice for you. I want to win your heart. And then it's the church who has to, accept that invitation. Anyway, so I do actually believe that. But what this guy was saying, I was like, oh, this is so true when it comes to that interaction, that like the back and forth between men and women, he said, is that what women could do is something that's an ancient thing. And he called it the dropping of the handkerchief.
Right.
Like say back in like the 20s or whatever, is that the woman has this ability to drop the handkerchief and essentially say to the guy, if you initiate, I am open to that. And that's just like a simple, it's like this interactive relational, and then the guy has to be like, oh, I think she just dropped the handkerchief. I'm going to be brave now. And it's not going to be just like immediately a door in the face. Anyway, so that we jumped right into the interactions, because I think sometimes people will just like sit in their mom's basement and be like, I don't know why he's not asking me out, or I don't know why she doesn't think I'm attractive or something. You're like, just like, you could hang out a little bit. You could try, you could
maybe put on some deodorant. Yeah. It might be a great place to start.
Right. So you could like just take little steps forward. But what you asked was also about the heart of the matter. What do you do when you desire something and you aren't getting it right away?
Yeah.
And I just want to maybe point out that is like a universal human existence thing, not just a single person thing. What do you do when you don't get what you want right away? Do you have things in your life?
Yeah.
That you're not getting even though you really want it?
Totally.
Kyra, is there things in your life that aren't just a dating relationship that you want that you're not getting?
So many.
So yeah, totally.
2010 Subaru Impreza. Nice car.
A little fine print.
Yeah,
fine print detail there.
So yeah. I know that the relationship is like at a very deep level, like a deep level desire, even I'd say like instinctual, God-given desire. But I think that is the human existence, is to figure out how to not get weary in waiting, and to even be able to offer that back to the Lord as worship, to say, if you don't give me everything I want, like I'll still be your servant.
Yeah.
And I won't hold this over your head and think that you've betrayed me. I will believe that you are sovereign and believe that you have good for me, even if it's not the good I thought it was going to be. Yeah.
I'd probably say, in addition to that, we need to clarify what we mean when we say like, hey, like wait on the Lord. I'm just waiting and trusting the Lord with that part of our life. Like that, those things are not passive. You know what I mean? And I think even if you are not sitting in your mom's basement, and even if you're not, like completely isolating yourself, I think what's really important is to be like really pursuing the Lord with all of your heart, and not just like kind of putting a little or like kind of creating some sort of margin where it's just like, well, hey, like I'm not going to be really all in for the Lord because I'm going to try to like cultivate these relationships or like pursue this relationship outside of its time. But like really, really give all your energy and focus to the Lord and just like, don't waste your time in the sense of like trying to make something happen when it's out of season. But I think what ends up happening, and I've seen anecdotally, and I think it's just the wisdom of the Lord, is that as you do that, you know, as you trust in the Lord with all of your heart and lean not on your own understanding, he has a way of making your path straight. He has a way of bringing these things into your life, that these deeper desires that are not evil, like he's given us this desire for relationship. And I think if he's called us to marriage, and he hasn't called us to a Christ-centered singleness, it's like he's not trying to ruin our fun and just watch us squirm. I think he does have the timing in these things. But I think as we really lean into him and in all of our being acknowledge him and worship him, he'll find a way of getting us where we need to go. And be pursuing like healthy relationships, and friendships and different, build community and all these things, and just watch what God does. So what do you think, Kyra?
So
what would you say?
Oh, what do I think? That's such a good question. I mean, I'm not exactly the best person to speak into it because I know a lot of my friends have had that desire for marriage since they were like 5 years old. And that's something it's a very new desire for me, to have a life partner, to walk in that. But I think that there is such a beauty in singleness that so many people miss, and that I've really gotten to enjoy the past couple of years. This finding community in other places and having like platonic friends that become your people. And I think it's important to acknowledge that, like, I have single friends and I have friends that are couples, and both of them have just been so life-giving and so encouraging. And I know I've talked with Bonnie about it. It's like, I know I'm going to mourn being single. When and if I do ever get married, there's going to be a part of me that's going to miss having no one else in my life but me and God. And I think a lot of people miss the joy and the intimacy that you can find because they're trying to rush into the next season.
Totally.
But I also don't want to make it sound like being single is the end-all be-all for everyone, or that it's the only way to go. Obviously, marriage is amazing. It is important.
Totally.
It is the foundation of our churches. But singleness can be pretty cool too, guys.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, that's really well said, Kyra.
Yeah.
Just a question, what you said there of how you, and I think you have done, I've witnessed this in your life, is that you have done a good job of pursuing connection and relationship outside of just people who are in the same stage of life as you. Why do you think some people don't? Do you know? I'm just like, I know this was not on on the script tonight, but like, what's your insight?
I think it can feel scary. And I think that there has, at least what I've seen in a lot of churches, is there is sort of this division between the married people and the single people. Like young adults, you kind of have for a couple years until you're like 22, and then it splits and there's singles groups and then there's young married groups. And there's not that same intermingling. You kind of get separated into two camps where it's like you're either single and you're actively looking for someone so you can hop over into the married group, or you're only hanging out with the people in the same stage of life. And it kind of hurts my heart to see that, because I think there is such a beauty in mixed community of different ages, of different seasons of life. Obviously, it's important to have people who are walking that same path as you, because you can relate to them better. But to have other perspectives speaking into you and into your life and into your decisions can be so fruitful. But it can be kind of intimidating. It can be kind of scary to branch out, to do something that's a little different than the norm. I think it's worth it. I mean, obviously, it's what I'm doing. So
yeah.
It's working for me right now.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well said.
Yeah. I think what you said there is actually really important, that connection of community within the church, and that we've talked about this a lot, and we even mentioned it at the Western Youth Summit, but like the high calling is not marriage. The high calling is faithfulness to Christ. And whether that looks like being faithful in a committed covenant relationship, one man with one woman for one lifetime, or it's in this place of singleness where you are living the life for the Lord as just a single person, but you're still part of that community. You're part of the family of God. And I think sometimes that isolation, as much as I think there is maybe some wisdom in, married couples having other married couples to talk with in small groups on some certain things, but I think there's a lot too that singles could learn from being in a group with married people and being part of a family that way. But then also too, I think there's a lot that married people and people who maybe have established families could learn from people who are single and who are loving the Lord with everything in their heart, without division, is just what the scriptures teach, right? Like if you're going to be married, your heart's going to be divided. Your affections are going to be divided. So.
Yeah. And that's honestly, it's one of the biggest things that I saw in the Instagram comment sections on posts about singleness, was people who are maybe a little bit older than I am and are still single, is there was just this cry for the church to come and still bring them into community. And so I'm wondering, like, as a married couple who is obviously taking me on as one of your mentees, but what are practical ways that you engage with single people? How can married people bring single people into their families, into their lives?
I'm like, just do it.
I know. Yeah. I think, for us, like we've just honestly seen the fruit of it in our own life because we had leaders who did that for us.
Yeah.
And so like they weren't afraid to be like, to invite people into the entirety of their life because they felt like the entirety of their life was ministry. So it's not like, hey, you get to occupy this little area over here on youth night from 7 to 9. And then, like you don't get to interact with me outside of that.
Yeah.
Like they were so willing to open up their home and to stay up late with us, to buy us McDonald's. And, that's more like youth age.
Wow.
But
Yep.
I think in young adults too, as we grew up, we just had people who made space for us. And so I think like, how do you do that is just, I think you have to help ask the Lord to help you have this vision for generational legacy and for family and for passing on the torch of faith to the next generation, which in some ways means you need to have some young adults into your home and laugh about the language that's being used. You know what I mean? And just like try to pretend like you understand, you know what they're talking about, and
oh yeah.
Yeah.
We, one of our other interns from this year, she'd be very proud and be amused by the fact that on the weekend, Bryan was talking to a 20-year-old, and this 20-year-old said to Bryan said, made some point, and he was a wise point. And she was like, oh, that's so good. And then Bryan went, clock it. And this,
clock it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this 20-year-old just was like, you get me. Like, so you could tell she was like, wow, you pay attention to people. Anyway.
Just to set the record straight for accuracy, I didn't say clock it. I just did this.
Oh, did you not say it?
Yeah, I didn't say it.
I just filled it in with my brain.
Just like, I thought it was better left unsaid. You know what I mean?
I thought you bridged, you, like Paul says, you became all things to all people.
Oh man.
You did a good job.
I'm just a dad. You know what I mean? So it's
right.
Like my awkwardness and my...
You've earned it. You've earned every dad joke. You've earned every...
But I feel like I stay up to speed with cultural things in a way that like I can do it where it's just cringy enough to be cool, but it's not so cringy. Like I could,
yeah.
Even the fact that I said cringy, I think is worth like maybe a gold star somewhere on some chart somewhere.
Yeah, you get away with it. Yeah. It works for you.
Cool. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
You heard it here first, folks.
Okay, and what you're saying there about the inviting people in. So after. Again, this is like the young adults we had involved in our life from last year's internship. Then one of those young women, not Kyra, another one, one week was like, hey, do you have any, I know you're busy, which is like, yeah, I'm a mom of 6 and yeah, we homeschool and I'm trying to keep up. Yeah, I am busy. Do you have any time for me? And I love this young woman. And I go, well, Friday afternoon, I have to clean bathrooms. Do you want to come follow me around in my house? Yes, I do. So I literally had her cleaning our mirrors while I am scrubbing the toilet and we're talking about real life. And I'm like, hey, shoot, what's up? What's on your heart? and she helped us clean multiple bathrooms. And I was not only like, in some ways it's like not out of her character at all to do something like that. But I was actually kind of proud of myself for stepping into a new level of vulnerability of going, yeah, you get to see me in my real life. And so the inconvenience was so worth it. And it's like, that's real community, and it felt rich, and she wasn't complaining. And I just think that maybe there's some married couples who are maybe older who are like, I wouldn't really know where the space would be. But it's like, as you build relationship with someone, you can let them in to those little margins, the little slivers of time, you know? So yeah.
I think especially in those scenarios where a young person or just somebody's coming up to you and being like, hey, like, can you speak into my life? I think like a lot of times people feel the pressure, like, oh, I need to reach the young generation, and here the younger generation is coming to you. I go like, just invite them in, like go grocery shopping with them. Like, you don't have to chase them down. Like if they're showing initiative and if they're showing intention, I go like, man, just bring them in. They don't need to see something flashy. They need to see authenticity, which is like a huge value for a current generation right now who's seen a lot of the hype and a lot of the veneer of perfection. They need to see the genuine and the authentic, and to see how Christ like really meets us in our everyday life, and that our life is worship, not just like one part of our life is worship, you know. It's a separate topic, but I threw it in there. So
it's so good. So good, guys. I love it. Okay, shifting gears a little bit. Bryan, you touched on it a little bit in our first question, but modern dating compared to Christ-centered dating, when someone feels like they're ready to step into that stage, how should Christians date? Is there a method? Is there a 12-step program? What do you guys recommend?
Well, I think first of all, great question. First of all, I think we need to just understand that to invite somebody out for coffee is not equated to picking out like wedding colors. Okay. So like, you're just interested to get to know someone. And I think you can be okay to say that, like, hey, like, I've really enjoyed, being in class with you. I've really enjoyed, I don't know, like being a young adults with you, and, like, hey, would you ever be up for going and grab a coffee? I'd love to get to know you a little bit better, hear more about your story, like things like that. Like, I don't think that that's evil. And I don't think that that's like, it's not criminal, number one. Right. But I would say too, if you're doing that like every other day, like dating or asking some girl out or asking a guy out, or as much as we've already talked about the guy initiating, that's probably not great. You probably need to dial it back.
Totally.
You know what I mean? But I think like if you feel like the Lord's kind of highlighted someone, or even you just feel like a greater interest in someone, like, my goodness, go for coffee. You're not committing. You're not like committing to the rest of your lives. You're not making covenant. You're just sitting down for coffee. The next thing is like, I think we want to approach it in a way that's honoring to the Lord and honoring to each other. So that means, like you're respecting that, there's some avenues of maybe people's life and story that they don't need to be bringing up in the day one. So you're asking maybe some more entry level questions, just getting to know them generally. You're not trying to dig in deep into their heart and kind of I don't know. Does that make sense? Do you see where I'm going?
Oh yeah.
Do you want to maybe put some other words to it? Cause I feel like I'm fumbling.
No, I think that's great. I think the bigger thing, what you're saying here is like, don't put so much pressure on the beginning.
Yeah.
Because it is then intimidating. And if as a dude, you're putting a lot of pressure on the beginning, the girl's going to sense that. If you're giving off any vibe, like, I think you're my wife, please go for coffee with me. And if the girl's like, I don't know, like, maybe you seem nice. Like if you put too much pressure, then I think she's going to back away. And so that pressure could drive the, like, how many kids do you want to have? And then she's like, he or she is like, too much, too quick, too much, too soon,
Let's maybe make that a second coffee date, conversation.
Or I think
or like a fifth or sixth or
totally.
I don't know, something.
Yeah, just like pump the brakes a little bit. Ask some. We do have on our website actually a list of like 36 questions. If you're already in, like, yeah, we're gonna see if this is gonna work, like a committed relationship. But at the beginning, yeah, you're just being a little bit more gentle. I mean, here's the reality: is there is not really a perfect formula because there are so many scenarios for when relationships start. There's some relationships that start, like for you and I, we started officially dating May 25th, 2006. And we'd already been friends for 3 years in close quarters. And like we had seen each other.
Done discipleship school together.
Right.
Seen each other in a wide variety of scenarios.
Been on missions together. So when we actually started dating, we were going more for the deeper conversations.
For sure.
Whereas there's other people who literally are like, they're interacting once or twice. They're bold and they go, would you want to grab a coffee? They're the ones who are going to maybe start a little bit more gentle.
Totally.
And that's the honorable thing you were saying.
Exactly. And I think maybe to give an analogy to that is we've often talked about this as being like knowing the speed limit zone you're in. Like if you're in a school zone where it's very much about discovery and getting to know someone, you're learning, and hence the school zone.
Yeah.
You're not going to go 80 kilometers or 100 kilometers an hour through a school zone. Mm-hmm. That's how people get hurt.
Right.
And in real life, that's how people get killed. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, but at the same time too, I know there's an argument too. You can be going so slow that like, that's unwise as well. Like when you're supposed to be on the highway and you're going 20, that's not helpful. It's like either get off the highway or let's get up to speed. Mm-hmm. Anyways. But I think that's maybe a good analogy to kind of look at it. It's like, hey, we're in a very early discovery phase. How can I get to know you? Get a sense of like how the passion that God's put in you, like what you kind of feel like God's called you to. How do I get to know you better as a brother or sister in the Lord? And then after that part, it's like we can kind of decide like, hey, are we ready to go kind of through the next phase, into the next phase of, I forget the word that we use for that. We have discovery.
Stage phase.
Yeah. No, but there's a specific stage, blank stage that we call it.
I don't remember.
Discovery. And then I think there's maybe greater levels of compatibility that you could start to pursue. Mm-hmm. And that is where you're starting to lean into like a little bit more of committed questions, a little bit more of like, hey, what does your future look like? Mm-hmm. Like, are we moving towards marriage? Like, is this really where you're wanting to start pursuing, and start taking those steps down that road? And then after that,
and not so much like that's not the moment of proposal or engagement, no. But the question of, would we be good teammates?
Yeah.
Are we compatible in our view of, is the Bible authoritative in your life? What is your, I
would hope so. That could probably be like that. I would say that's first coffee date.
The school zone one.
That might be a
but like, to what extent you start to figure out like, you're not going to ever give money to the church. Oh, you're not going to be a tither.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't submit large decisions to spiritual mentorship. Oh, okay. That's, some of those things you might not discover on the playground.
Yeah.
In the playground zone, but you would discover that in more of the more serious conversations.
Totally.
So those would be the kind of conversations that you would have as you're saying, okay, we have this baseline compatibility. Now what about on these deeper issues? And at this point, you're not engaged. You're not making promises to one another. I think that's huge. Is not making premature promises, but actually following it through, being patient, not just being like, we're really attracted to each other. We have a lot of fun. Oh, and this is something else I would add, is that something we often say is that it's really valuable to see each other in a variety of settings. This is what I mean. See each other in the setting of family, of friendship, like just basic community, church community. See each other in like what's their work ethic like? Do we work well together? Do we play well together? Could we chill well together? I think those are some of the, that it just takes some time to figure those things out. Yeah.
Totally. And then after that, then you can start saying, okay, well, We've kind of been through this compatibility phase. We see that, hey, like there's a lot of green flags here. And like the reality is, and I don't know if I've said this before, but like, I feel like I've said this before in another podcast, but so much of marriage is just deciding like, or in that discovery of like, hey, are we ready for marriage? Is like, what do we agree upon? And do we agree upon the majors? And then how much crap are we willing to put up with? Because that's the reality. Is like, if, nobody's perfect. And so you have to be on board with like the kind of, your comfort level has to be high enough to move forward with the possibility of like brokenness and different idiosyncrasies that we all have, but are there enough green flags? And then at that point, it's like, if covenant's not made, like you're not married. So I don't think that if there's red flags or there's just, a lack of compatibility, we're not on the same page about a few things. I think if you approach it correctly, you don't have to lose a friendship, even though you might lose a relationship or maybe not move forward towards marriage. So
yeah,
I don't know if that answers the question, Kyra, but that's our thought.
That was so good. So with dating and all that kind of stuff comes the question of boundaries, emotional and physical. With each stage that you're talking about, each school zone or each highway, whatever, what are your recommendations for emotional and physical boundaries?
That's really good. And I appreciate that. I think, something that I've heard Bryan say a couple times now is that sometimes in our, we're like, yeah, we're Jesus people. We believe in God. But then when it comes to our relationships, we act like sexual atheists, where we're like, God does not get to come and have influence over this part of my life. And I would say that I'm seeing evidence of an alarming rate of those who would say they are Jesus followers who are not letting the Holy Spirit shape this question, this area of what I do with my body, with my boyfriend or with my girlfriend. That is kind of like, well, I mean, it's just kind of normal, isn't it? And I think we just need to stop saying what is average and instead say, what does consecration look like?
Yeah.
And I know I've talked about this with you, Kyra, is to believe I actually have a high calling on my life. I actually believe that God has a purpose for me and I can't just throw it away. I can't just, for the sake of pleasure in a moment. And even if that pleasure just means holding someone's hand prematurely. I'm not talking about, are you a virgin anymore or something like that. But, and this goes back to that question, the very beginning. Do you sometimes want things that you can't have yet? Yeah. Does that mean you're a bad person for wanting something before it's time? No. But could you submit those desires to the Lord and say, can you help me be patient? And so, and this is, again, I'm not saying there needs to be a formula. There's some boundaries that are really clear. 1 Corinthians 7 verse 1 or 2 Corinthians 7 verse 1?
1 Corinthians 7.
Where it says, it is not good.
Yeah.
Paul says, concerning the things that you wrote about. So it's like the church in Corinth is literally writing this question to Paul. What type of physical boundaries should we be having between men and women? Concerning those things which you wrote about, it is not good for a man to touch a woman. When I read that as a single woman, I was like, this must not be literal. Also, isn't in marriage, it's a really good thing for men and women to be able to touch each other, for a husband and wife to be able to touch each other. So what is this talking about? So I go and look up what that word touch is in the original language. And it's the word that could mean to light a fire or to bind to one another. Perfect language. Good job, the Greek language, so descriptive of what happens when there is a touch of a sexual kind. And Paul's saying it is not good for unmarried man and woman to light a fire within one another that they know they're going to end up having to put out, or bind themselves to each other prematurely when they haven't actually made covenant with one another. So we want the level of our affection to be proportionate to our level of covenant, level of commitment. That would be my...
Yeah.
So over in the playground or in the school zone, what's your level of commitment? And this could be applied to the emotions, right? Where we start to share things with one another, especially as women. When we even just talk with someone, oxytocin is released and we are binding ourselves to them. When we share the deep things of our heart. So you have to be kind of careful. Are you sharing secrets? Are you sharing things that like, I've never told anyone else this thing? You might be prematurely binding yourself to a young man, or, but you don't actually know if you're compatible, and you may end up then breaking up with them or breaking away from them, and then going, okay, now that dude has my secrets. Like he has parts of my inner world that I haven't shared with others. That's not the feeling that we want for people.
No, totally.
So.
Yeah. And I think using discretion, and, I think this is what I was going to say at the very beginning, like how, Proverbs speaks that like wisdom begins with the fear of the Lord, like that we put the Lord first. And, it's not that like a sexual desire and, sexual attraction is inherently evil. Obviously there's a design that God has for sexuality, and a natural design for sexuality between men and women. And that's always been God's intent and God's design. But like, I think putting the fear of the Lord first, it's like you're choosing what is honorable to him, out of great love for him and understanding his great love for you, and wanting what he wants, and understanding that he wants our good. Like, I think that has to be the place that we start from, is that God is good and his boundaries are even good. And if God says, no, this area is reserved for a later stage of commitment, not to ruin your fun, but to allow a safe place of your heart to be opened up to experience the potency of connection and commitment and binding that sexual experience is, no matter what our culture would tell us. Our culture would say that, oh, it's no big deal. It doesn't, there's no long lasting effects from sexual experiences. Like, give me a break. I could go off on that for a while, but anyways, I think that is the place to start, and to see that God is good and his boundaries are good. And we're wanting to live a life that is honoring to him in all areas of our life, not live a compartmentalized life, but all of our life is worship to him.
Yeah, that's so good. So, Bonnie, as you were talking about emotional boundaries, a couple conversations I've had with friends actually came to mind in regards to sharing, like, especially as a woman, sharing those like deeper secrets. And I know a lot of my friends have this desire to share everything on the first date because they don't want to feel like they're hiding things. How do you go about that and like walk in that? You don't want to be like dishonest about who you are, where you're at, but you also don't want to bear all of your deepest, darkest secrets to someone maybe you've only just met.
Totally. Yeah. Just pause. Selah, as they say. Young women or women, if you are listening, you are not, maybe if no one knows those deep, dark secrets or those things, then yes, you are walking in secrecy, or you're walking in hiddenness. And but I wouldn't encourage you to make the young man across the table be your accountability partner for those deep, dark things. You're going to start with a parent, a mentor, someone, a spiritual leader, someone that, a leader in your church, someone that you can trust to then walk through those things with. But what I would actually reference is there's the work of a child developmental psychologist named Dr. Gordon Neufeld that I've really appreciated his work. And he talks about 6 layers of attachment. And he talks, I'll go through it really quickly. The first layer, and these are capacity for all of us. It starts in children from from birth up until age 6, they will start to develop in these levels of attachment in greater and greater depths. The first layer is out of proximity. And so that's getting to know someone or becoming attached to someone by spending time with them. Nearness, you're hearing their voice, I'm like trying to think of like the there's the relationship between a parent and a child, but if we're trying to keep it in the dating relationship idea, so you got proximity. So this is like, hey, do you want to go play pickleball? Hey, do you want to go grab some pizza? We're getting proximity with one another, layer 1. Now we're going to go a little deeper, and the next layer is sameness. So you're going to start to go, we're talking about compatibility. Oh, you feel that? Oh, you think that too? Oh, you like that style of music as well? Oh, you like Mexican food? Oh, you laugh at the same type of jokes as I do? Okay, next layer of attachment. Third layer is that of belonging. So this would be when maybe we move out of the school zone and we move into the more residential area, and we're starting to go, yeah, I think we are attached at a deeper level here, where we like wouldn't just belong to one another, but you're actually, maybe you're a part of the same soccer team, or you're a part of the same, you realize you have similar political views, or you have similar denominational views. You're like, we belong to the same types of things. The next layer is that of significance, where you're saying, wow, it's not just that we're near each other, we're similar, and we kind of are kind of a part of the same tribe. We actually really matter to one another. When something good happens, I want to call him. Or when something's difficult, like she comforts me. Like there's like this care for one another and significance. And then the next layer down is the 5th layer, is that of true like love and affection. And then the final layer is that of intimacy. And we could say that emotionally as well. And intimacy is this thought that there's nothing coming between us. So it's at that layer where we go, it feels almost like I'm betraying you by not telling you some of these hardest things in my life, either trauma from my childhood or, a dream or a vision I feel like God has or a prophetic word that God's given me for my future that I don't share with just anybody. So when we take that deep layer and we bring it all the way up to proximity, we're going to overwhelm that relationship. And it's not the natural progression of relationships.
Yeah.
So,
Well said.
Thanks. I do think that as I was saying that, I'm like, there are things that I would probably want to tell someone before you get down to love and like, oh my gosh, I'm in love with this person. And now I need to tell them, I did jail time. You know what I mean? Like maybe maybe you can share that.
My name's not actually Carl.
Right.
Sorry, Carl.
I'm a vegan.
Yeah.
Or,
no, if you're a vegan, they'd already know. So.
That's right.
Because you would have told them right away. That's the joke. Anyways.
Anyway, so they could go a little sooner, but I just think of that natural progression and you don't have to jump all the way to intimacy. Please don't.
Yeah. And again, just to circle back to what I said before, because of such a high value of authenticity in a current generation, I think we've equated that to like honesty and truthfulness, and we've forgotten prudence. We've forgotten like, hey, like there's an appropriate time. And I think like you can be honest and you can be truthful without like dumping everything out there.
Totally.
Right. Like there's different priorities and what's the word I'd be looking for? But I think like as you have more peripheral things of your life, yet you're starting to get down into the deeper things of your life, I think the safest people and the most trustworthy people should be entrusted with those deeper areas of your heart. And I don't think you're being fake. I don't think you're being hypocritical, or you're not a liar for having discretion and having like prudence in how you would approach talking about deeper areas of your life. You know what I mean? So, because not all avenues of your story are equal, are they? There's things that have to be required with greater care. And I think somebody's trustworthiness needs to be proven before you really hand that over. So,
and as an example, I think you did a good job back when we were dating, is you were walking in a level of transparency with our entire community. So I had enough information about, say, your past and like your relationships that you had gone through. You had been You weren't detailed, but you were open
Mhm.
with the whole community. So when we started dating, I already knew. And I think if someone's walking in consistent transparency, their testimony is not a secret to their community. But then when we got deeper into relationship, that's when you had to share with me more of the details of maybe some of the pain or some of the patterns. And then I was able to process it at that level. So that would probably be another recommendation is let's make our churches a place where we actually know each other's stories.
Yeah.
Even at a general level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so good. So what I'm hearing from you guys is you don't have to share your entire testimony on the first date.
Thanks for boiling that down. You're absolutely right.
Like how long did that take us
Seriously,
to get there?
It's like a 15-minute explanation.
Discourse.
And Kyra just look at Kyra's
Hey,
footnotes.
it's so good.
Just don't do it on the first date. There you go. No, it's
Just
so
don't
good.
do it. No, that's fantastic. So then once you've hit maybe a little bit more of that level of intimacy, you've moved to the residential zone. What would you guys say are those like hallmarks of like, okay, this is a healthy relationship. Maybe we can start moving towards the highway, looking for an exit to get off on. Like, when does that transition shift?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I think you highlight something that's really important to remember is there isn't like a hard and fast kind of time within that compatibility zone, or you called it a residential zone or whatever. Like you're getting up into speed there, you're moving a little bit faster. Mm-hmm. There isn't a hard and fast time there. I think, and I think that's probably just part of where we have to surrender to the Lord's leadership. And he knows the distinctives of our life and really what's good for us, not just he knows every detail about us. You know what I mean? He knows what makes us cry. He knows what makes us get angry. He knows areas of sin. He knows areas of selfishness. He knows areas of woundedness. He knows it all. And I think he's wise in how he orders our steps as we keep looking to him and trusting in him. And so I think as you are inviting community, which was the other part we were going to talk about, like how do we pursue these relationships healthily? You're inviting that wise counsel into your life. You're inviting community. There's certain levels of accountability, and you're essentially saying like, hey, like what are you seeing in my life that would keep me from being Mr. or Mrs. Right? And what are you seeing in this other person that would cause you to go, I don't know if they're Mr. or Mrs. Right. But also like you're going to have some people in your life who are saying, hey man, you need to pull the trigger and you need to just get the ring and ask her, you know what I mean? Or you kind of be like, hey man, like, I don't know. It just seems like I'm just trying to think of an example. Like,
totally.
Like you're at a barbecue or something like that. Or every time, maybe this, if you are seeking out accountability, and every time that this accountability person or couple has seen you interact with said girl or said person, they've cut you down. They've made a joke at your expense. They seem to only be thinking about themselves. They get really mad when things don't go their way. Like all these things, it's like, I don't think marriage is going to fix that. You know what I mean? Like this is kind of like a do not pass go scenario. Mm-hmm. I think if you're living in community, you're going to have people who are watching their life with an objective perspective. They really love you and they want your good. So they're not going to be cutting corners, hopefully. But I think like if you are living in that community and living before the eyes of the Lord and seeking his will and timing, I think you'll kind of know when it's time to move forward. So,
yeah. And I wouldn't want
I don't know if that's too like obtuse or whatever.
There's just
is that the word.
There's not much.
I'm throwing a lot of words out tonight. This is just weird. So
there's just not necessarily that formula of this is how it's going to go for you. I know of couples who are godly and beautifully compatible, and they stepped into the relationship, hit some speed bumps or some obstacles, and they were like, oh, we have to break up until we can solve this individually.
Yeah.
Then they went through some things and they grew. Then they came back together. And then they hit some more obstacles and they went, oh, actually, let's pause again, sort some things out separately. And then they came back together, and now they've been married for probably like over 20 years. So
Wow.
it can look different. You didn't fail. You know what I mean? You just, the Lord,
Mhm.
who's the orchestrator, he is just kind of guiding you along the way.
Yeah.
And so your relationship doesn't have to be perfect. The other person isn't going to be, you're not going to be perfect. They're not going to be perfect. But are you teachable? Are you willing to be discipled through that process? Like you said, or is there a community in your life where you say to them, if you see anything funky in my life, man, I really need you to tell me. Because we all have blind spots, and we don't know what they are, and that's why they call them blind spots. When I just heard someone say that the other day, and I was like, what are mine? What are mine? Like, I still have blind spots, right? And so when there's people who love you and they are telling you something, they're probably doing so at a risk of, like, they know it's risky to do that, right? It's hard to confront people that we love. So are we willing to listen to other people?
Yeah.
As a single person, as a dating person, as a married person, have community. So
yeah, and again, I don't know if we want to jump off from there, but it's like if you have kind of hit this place where it's like, it's like either we need to take these next steps or we do take a step back. Like if you feel that step to, like, you feel that the Lord's leading you and wise counsel is, kind of giving you a thumbs up and validating the sense that, like, move forward and, like, pursue marriage, be engaged, those kind of things. Like I'm not of the persuasion that a long engagement is wise. I would think that, like, if you're sure that the Lord has called you into marriage and it's the time to take steps for that, don't draw it out for 3 years. You know what I mean? Don't draw it out for something crazy like that. I just offended people who are engaged for 3 years. So you're welcome. But
but they would probably, all of them, if they're Christ followers, they'd be like, oh yeah, that was really hard.
Yeah. I don't think it does. I don't think it serves anybody, right? Like, if you're confident that this is the step to take, like, begin the process and, like, get a date on the calendar, ideally maybe within the year. You know what I mean?
Totally.
I want to hold that open-handedly. It's like, I don't want to, the Lord's timing is the Lord's timing. But again, I don't think it's wise to draw something out longer than it needs to. I think it does complicate things. I think it leaves people in this weird kind of limbo stage within the relationship. And you're going to have difficulty and you're going to have conflict in marriage. So don't let that be a reason to not get married. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to have to face those things. So being engaged for, an unreasonable amount of time is not going to keep you from, having to have conflict and learning to not get what you want all the time and to sacrifice and serve. It's like, that's part of the process of sanctification within marriage. So there you go. Just threw that out there to offend everybody who's.
I wonder how many people we've offended so far. Like, we just knew that one was like, that's like a very easy one. But I'm like, maybe we could have like a offended count,
Oh, seriously.
Hit that button. If you're like, I'm offended.
Yeah. Can you just hit the like button for every offense? That'd be really great. Throw off the algorithm. Anyways.
Yeah.
So good. Well, then, to finish off, we'll go full circle from single to dating, married. What do you do if you get to that point that you're talking about, and instead of feeling the go-ahead, you feel like you need to end things?
Yeah.
How do you biblically break up with someone?
Just tell them God told you and slam the door in their face and never speak to them again.
You could say, it's me. It's not you.
Yeah,
it's me.
You, it's me. I was praying and anyways. No,
yeah. How do you?
Just throw it on the Lord. Just throw it on the Lord every time.
He's got big shoulders. He can carry it.
We're joking. Yeah, I think, man, these conversations, they require a lot of wisdom. And I think sometimes, it might be wise, obviously, to seek out counsel, seek out some pastoral counsel or like a mentor, and like, hey, like I'm just not doing well with the idea of moving forward, and I don't want to wreck this relationship. I don't want to wreck this friendship. I don't want to lose a friendship as much as, in the early stages of breaking up, it may be awkward to be around each other and to just quote unquote, just be friends. But, I'd really seek out some counsel. And then, if it might even be wise to like kind of preface the conversation with them that like, hey, I've just been having some hesitations. can we connect here soon and talk this through?
Yeah.
And maybe in that conversation, some things might be put at ease. You might kind of see like, oh, well, maybe actually, man, I'm glad we had this conversation and cleared that up. Or it just might be a space to be like, yeah, I'm seeing this too, actually, and I'm not on the same page. I don't feel like the go ahead to continue. And I know this might be hard, and it may involve bringing in another person, a mediator who's kind of like trusted by both parties to kind of talk that through, especially if it has gotten pretty close to marriage, and it's kind of like, oh, marriage is on the horizon, to then now do an about face would be pretty drastic. So I think the greater maybe the intention of commitment or the signs of commitment, the greater wisdom and maybe a slower pace that needs to be done. Yeah. Unless there's something major, like something illegal or abusive.
Absolutely.
And abuse is illegal. I understand that, but but just something that's like dangerous to themselves or to other people. I think you need to be slower.
Yeah. And I think the reason we have this big ceremony where we make these big vows is because it's such a huge shift from being the single individual to the married individual. And it's meant to be just like, my life is never the same. My life is not my own. But if you're not married, even if you've said, we're going to be married and I'll love you forever, and we're going to do this when we're 50, like, if you have not made covenant before God and before your community, you are like, it's better for you to step away rather than to proceed and have regrets and then be tempted to break covenant. Mm-hmm. That's the whole purpose of that stage leading up to engagement and marriage. So, of course, I mean, even Kyra, as you said, that for a lot of people, there could be a grief, and some people might think it's cold feet. You said, I think I might grieve my singleness. Yeah. Some people might misinterpret that as cold feet, but it is just a reality is that you understand it'll never be the same again. And you're allowed to grieve that. I experienced that as well. I was very confident that I wanted to marry Bryan. And the day before our wedding, I just was like, oh my gosh, my whole life is changing. And my bridesmaids were so worried about me. And I could not find language for what I was feeling. I was like, it'll never just be my mom and dad and my sisters and I again. And I want to get married, and I loved my life. And then I woke up the next morning and I was like, okay, here we go. Like, Friday was my day to say goodbye to the old. And then Saturday I was like, here we go, like onward, and with no regret, no looking back, And so I guess just as you get deeper and deeper into that relationship, maybe to differentiate between I'm grieving a change, differentiating between that and like, oh no, this is red flags and I don't feel peace. Those are very different things.
Totally. Well said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kyra,
so good.
Any words of wisdom before we wrap this up today? I know you do. You have wisdom.
Oh man. I feel like I already said what I wanted to say. If you are single, enjoy it. Make the most of it. Don't wish it away, because you might get to where Bonnie was and grieve it and mourn it. You're going to wish that maybe you had one more day where you could just go and drive around and not text anyone where you are. Or pick up anyone from school.
Right.
Or just go get a coffee by yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
There's beauty in it. Enjoy it.
Yeah. There is beauty in it. That's very true.
I think again, just to circle back, and this was a verse that was so important to Bonnie and I when we were in our early stages, but Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 is like, trust in the Lord with all of your heart and lean not on your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge him and he'll make your path straight. So
good.
And I think we have so much temptation in this area to lean on our own understanding or to lean on a cultural perspective that makes a lot of big promises. But I think as we seek the Lord, seek his word, draw hunger and thirst for wisdom, I think like, I love how James says that like, if anyone lacks wisdom, let him ask of the Lord. He will give it generously to them without reproach. Like he won't ask second questions. Like you want wisdom, I'm going to give it to you. You know, like it's that type of demeanor towards us. And I think as we're seeking the Lord's wisdom in this area, it's going to become clear, and the next steps will be pretty clear.
Yeah.
It'll take faith. It'll take courage to do hard things, but most worthwhile things are on the other side of doing hard things. So
yeah, that's really good.
Clock it.
So good.
Well, everybody, this has been so great. No. Kyra, thank you so much for leading this conversation and for hunting down all these questions. It's been a lot of fun. And everybody watching, everybody listening, we hope that you enjoyed this too. We encourage you to like, comment, subscribe, share this with somebody who's maybe going through difficulties in singleness or is, longing for marriage and it's just not quite there yet. Feel free to share it with them, and it might be just really encouraging to them. But until next time, we love you. And God loves you, and Jesus is the way to wholeness in sexuality, identity, and relationships. Us knowing who we really are in him is the game changer. So we love you. We'll see you next time on the Union Podcast.